and welcome to another Jewish Community Action Shabbat Sendoff.
Hi.
I am JCA Director Karen Rotz.
And I'm Lindell Owens, Community Organizer with JCA for a couple more hours. Today
Yeah.
happens to be my last day.
Yes, and so I'm both sad that Lindell is going, but also really excited that she got to do one of these videos with us before she left.
Yep, I am too. Yeah, kind of glad I got to do one. This is pretty exciting.
Do you want to say a little bit about what you did here and what you're going on to?
Yeah, so basically while I was here at JCA for the past 2 years, I worked on bank reform, small business development in Minneapolis, and most recently housing justice regionally in Hennepin County. So I can't say thank you enough for the incredible time I've had at JCA, and I'll be around as a member. But for now, I've gone back to grad school full-time starting in June, so I've been here kind of throughout June helping with the transition, and today's my last day.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you got to do this, though. I know. Okay, so Lindell, do you want to give us campaign updates?
Yes, so a couple things happening this week, and then I'll talk kind of what's coming up in the month, but basically housing justice led by Aaron Burke. We had a meeting this Wednesday where regional representatives from the different community housing teams came together. About 30 people joined us at the Savis JCC, and we kind of talked about our strategy, next steps, and we're excited to keep moving forward regionally as a team and then within our own different cities. So, and then for deep canvassing, it was a really well-attended info session this week, and we're going to kick off our first one at a DOTH on the morning of July 9th. So that'll be our first one, our first deep canvas, and then we'll keep going from there.
Yeah, and if you want more information about deep canvas, call our office or comment here or wherever you've seen this video, and Rachel is the organizer working on Deep Canvas, and she'll get you more information. Yeah. And then on one other big announcement that happened, literally, I'm wearing a watch. It's not 2017. Like an hour ago, the Minneapolis City Council voted
pretty big,
almost unanimously, but not quite. We see you. To pass $15 minimum wage in Minneapolis. That is huge. Woo-hoo! Dave's excited. That was Dave. So that was creepy.
That was great.
Lindell, go shut the door. This is absolutely a victory for the workers,
kind of
the low-wage workers who organized and led this fight. This will positively benefit. This will lift more than 71,000 workers out of poverty in Minneapolis. It's historic. It's fantastic. It's how organizing works. And it's really a testimony to, or a tribute to the work of low-wage workers and organizations like Fight for 15 Minnesota and Satul and SEIU, who really lent so much to this effort. So it's awesome. It's an exciting day to be a Minneapolis resident for me. Yes.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah. So then we also have some events coming up.
Yeah. So coming up on July 16th, and I hope to see you there, it's the JCA Night Out at the Links. So it's an opportunity. Go to our website, purchase the tickets, and part of that ticket will benefit JCA. So it's a really fun fundraiser and a great way for us to spend time together having fun and enjoying the Links.
I'm just going to put a controversial opinion out there.
Yeah.
The Lynx is Minnesota's best sports team.
Oh.
So join me and other JCA members to go watch them rule.
Yeah. Dominate.
Totally.
Exactly.
Dominate, yes.
And then coming up on the 30th, just as exciting, is a roast and toast. So it's an opportunity to say goodbye and thank you to Vic Rosenthal, longtime ED of JCA, and really to also celebrate Karen and the awesome leadership that she's bringing.
Right. So far, it's videos like this.
Yeah.
Cool.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, and go to our website to check that out. So July 16th, Night Out at the Links, and July 30th, Roast and Toast. So two fun things coming up.
And that's actually at Lake Monster Brewery here in St. Paul, which is an amazing brewery. There will be some light nosh served, and we'll also, I think, have some food trucks for folks who want to get more of a dinner. Yeah. So it's time for our Torah study. The other thing, so the two things, Lindell, that we do with the Shabbat Sendoff is we do an update on campaign work and how folks can get involved, and then we do a little bit of thought about the week's Torah portion to give our members and partners something to think about as we all head out to Shabbat in a few hours. So this week's Torah portion is Hukat. And this is, a lot happens here. I'm going to focus on just a couple of things. Okay. So the Israelites arrive. They're in the wilderness of Zin. Miriam dies. Full disclosure, my youngest child's name is Miriam. I don't love this portion. Yeah. Let's go so Miriam dies, and the water dries up. And, not much is said about Miriam's death, and she's not really mourned.
Yeah.
And that's kind of normal in this text, and the way that women move in and out of this text. But the water does dry up, probably because the water was following Miriam. Right, so they've lost Miriam, and they lose their water.
Yeah,
and the people, they freak out. It's the desert. They, it's hot, and they need their water. So they go to Moses and they complain. And Moses goes to God and says, "We need water." And God says to Moses, "Go to this rock and ask this rock for water." So God says to Moses, "Ask this rock for water." And Moses is. I want to put myself in Moses' shoes for just a second here. The people are. They're revolting. They want water, and this has been. They've lost their water. Right. They've been in the desert many years. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot going on.
Right.
He's also just lost his sister, and so we can presume that he is in some way grieving the loss of his sister, who is not only his sister. Remember, Miriam saved his life.
Right.
Miriam has played a significant role throughout the life of Moses, and she's been the source of this water, right? And so Moses does not ask the rock for water. He hits the rock. He picks up his staff and he hits the rock. I feel that.
Yeah.
And as a consequence, God says to him, "Because you did not listen to me, you will not go with the people into the promised land." Yeah. And it's a consequence. So there's a couple of things that I want to focus on here, is that I think that often, so the consequence implies that hitting the rock rather than listening and trusting God is a failure of Moses' leadership. I also want to lift up that it's evidence that Moses is a human. Throughout this story, we see Moses be flawed and brave and not, and he's a person. And obviously there's a lot going on. And so while I think that in many ways we can see his failure to obey as a failure of leadership, I think that we can also see it as evidence and a reminder to all of us that leadership is also human. Yes. The other thing is that I want to look at the consequence, the consequence that Moses is not to go into the promised land. And I want to remind us that, Aaron also dies. Moses' brother Aaron also dies in this portion. So Miriam has died and Aaron has died. And Moses is now not going to be allowed to go into the promised land with the people. And I want to say that that's a consequence, right? It's a punishment for Moses. And on some level, for me, it's also a fulfillment of Moses' leadership. Because, Moses is an organizer. As an organizer, that's how I read this. And organizers lift up and develop the leadership of the next generation, right? And so while Moses not getting to go into the promised land is a consequence and it is a punishment, it's also a fulfillment of his leadership, which was not necessarily to go into the promised land himself. It was to prepare the people to go to the promised land. And that as a reminder, it's our job as organizers to work for what comes next, and to always be looking at the next generation, and to always be focusing on the we and not the me, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a distinct, humbling take on leadership, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I also hadn't thought of Moses' leadership kind of collaborating with Miriam, too. Does anyone think that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a hard portion, because what we see is the loss of a lot of leadership. Certainly Aaron, and then we know that Moses will not go with the people. But what we also see is the fulfillment of visionary leadership that looks towards, maybe I won't go into the promised land, but the people will.
I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for watching our Shabbat send-off. If you like this, share it. If you don't, just keep it to yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Bye.